Well, hello, my internet friends. Glad to welcome you back to another episode of Parking Money. My name is Mike Rogers. I am a car collector, have been for years and years, and have really made a lot of great friends. And I'm kind of introducing you to my world in this podcast, and bringing in a lot of people that kind of understand what we're seeing in this as far as it becoming a great asset class, the liquidity of how it is to how fast you can turn these cars into money, and how well you can do when you buy the right things at the right price. And really, it's like the old saying: you don't make money on these things when you sell them; you make money when you buy them. And if you find the right price and with the way they appreciate, it doesn't have to be a real super low price. I mean, there's people that do this all the time that really do great with it. So we've got, of course, my good friend Brian Barr, who is my co-host. He's been with me through the start. He works with Street Side Classics and does a great job. Being really a super knowledgeable guy as for me, as far as through the years of collecting these cars. I always want Brian's opinion, because Brian is he knows his stuff. And
well, there's one car you haven't bought that I keep suggesting, but I bring it up all the time. People
all the
ask.
time.
A Mustang 2 King Cobra.
Yeah, Mustang 2 King Cobra.
I thought it was going to be a Ferrari.
No.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be an Audi.
There's a whole joke.
Give you the inside to that story. I had a super nice 1968 beautiful car, 1968 Shelby Cobra, a Shelby GT500 convertible in a concourse back that Brian helped put together in Pinehurst, North Carolina. And the car was beautiful. It was on the cover of the book, the whole shooting match. But it wasn't a concourse car. It was not restored. It was one repaint. At the time, it was not a concourse car.
A very, very, very nice.
Very nice.
And this was our infancy of the concourse.
Yeah, the infancy of the concourse.
Yeah.
So I got beat out by a 1977 Mustang Cobra 2 that this guy had. They had this crazy set of rules that they judge cars by. So Brian rags me every time he sees a Mustang 2, he'll call me up. I just saw one. You need to buy this.
Forward him an ad.
Yeah.
I hear you can buy those right.
Oh, you can buy them right. You'll always be able to buy them right.
There's somebody that built one and it's going to SEMA this year.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Guys, let me introduce my guests. Marc Corea is my good friend that we've had an association here for the last 2 or 3, maybe 4 years. Yeah. And we have a local Lake Norman car guys that we see each other every week, and we love our Lake Norman car guys. And Marc is an expert in buying and selling collector cars. He's made a great business out of it through the years. He's had a lot of great cars in his collection, and basically turned and sold them in his collection, and then we'll move on to something else. And he's done a great job. He does. You do some restoration, don't you?
We do. We revive them. I mean, a lot of these cars we're buying, Jaguars especially, have been neglected over the years. So we'll go through them, and typical thing with Jaguars, wiring, fuel, of course. Oil leaks come at no additional charge.
Right. You don't have to pay any extra for the oil leaks.
Yeah, the oil leaks. If there's no oil on the ground, there's no oil on the engine. And I think I'm quoting a Cars movie from that. But no, so we go through, and I think I don't mean to summarize, but we're all stewards of these cars, and we're trying to make them better going down the line, and that's what we do, is we try to make them better for the next client. And
that's a real good point, because it's been said for years that we don't really own these cars. We're just stewards of for a period of time. Mm-hmm. We'll own the car and make it better, or make it a certain way that we like it, or whatever the situation is, and then just move it on to the next person. Because when these things get to a certain age, they require some maintenance, or a deal of maintenance a lot of times, or sometimes a total rebuild.
Yes.
but moving them on to the next person in great shape is a something that we really like to do.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit better than how you think.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
My next guest over here is Steve Sudler. He is the Ferrari manager at Foreign Cars Italia, who is a Ferrari, Aston Martin. Give me the other.
We have some Fiat. We have a couple Porsche as well.
Yeah.
In there, and
Yeah.
Aston Martin, Bentley here.
Right. They have two great dealerships. The dealerships are owned by Benny Yunt with Paramount.
Correct, down of Hickory, North
Paramount out of Hickory. Yeah.
Yeah, he is a collector.
Yeah.
Nice
yeah.
facility.
Nice. Very nice guy. I knew Benny Yunt when I was 7 years old. Did you know that?
No kidding.
Oh yeah, yeah. My dad had a little body shop over in Charlotte, and and Benny had to use car lot in Hickory.
That's right. That's where it started.
Yeah, where it started, and he would drive down to Mount Holly to my dad's body shop, and I remember being over there, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. My dad would wait for him to get there,
Right.
and he would buy old Z cars from us and take them back and sell them, and I actually sold him the worst car I ever had.
You sold it to him.
Oh no, I didn't sell my dad though. But it was a 1974 Corvette, and I don't know if you know much about that year 74, 75 Corvette. Oh, they were terrible.
Yeah.
This thing definitely a low point for Corvettes. I love Corvettes, but that was definitely a low point. And he bought that car and took it to Hickory and sold it.
Although it was the last year you get a big block 4-speed car.
It was.
Interesting. Well, we just celebrated 50 years of Paramount Automotive.
Did you?
Yeah. Wow. And Benny, one of the things I didn't know through this is that they had the Peugeot Renault dealership.
Is that right?
Yeah, one of the
Wow.
first ones.
That was.
He's created a great company and a great group of people.
He says some
You have a 505 in the basement of the collection?
Yeah. He had him out. He had a Renault Le Car there.
Oh, did he?
At the celebration.
Wow.
505.
Well, he set the world on fire with Peugeot and Renault.
Right. Yeah.
He did.
We know where they are now.
Oh yeah,
Not here.
Oh,
So not here.
I sold them a car I regret. I sold them that one of those cars that got away. I sold them an 85 308.
Oh.
The red one with black interior
Yeah.
with red piping. And I sold them to that when the market was sort of down.
yeah.
And
I think that's still in his collection.
I believe it is. Yes.
I don't very nice. I don't know that car. What was it? A sedan, sports car?
No, Ferrari 308.
Oh, it was a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were talking about a Peugeot. No, it was a-
No.
Okay.
No, I try to stay away from the French cars. I try. They keep.
So do a lot of people.
That's funny. So Ferrari didn't run into the problem with Peugeot, but Porsche did, which is why the Porsche, known as the 901, is called the 911 because Peugeot had trademark 0 as their middle digit, but yet Ferrari's cool with it. Or Ferrari getting away with it? Maybe because it's Ferrari.
Yeah.
It could be, but I thought it was the 9 followed by. I thought it was
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe, yeah.
the 9-0.
Yeah.
I think is what
Maybe that's what it is.
So
First time
Steve-
I've ever been wrong, folks.
first time.
I don't know.
Yeah, first-
Yeah.
Probably not the
last 5
first time I
minutes.
corrected you. It was
I've known you for 20 years. Steve and I used to work in motorsports together.
a long time.
Yeah.
A long
Now, Steve, you're in charge of the Ferraris buying and selling and
Yeah. So technically marketing, but that includes the buying and the selling. We're with the staff there in Greensboro, and Foreign Cars Italia is considered the third oldest Ferrari dealership in the United States.
really
I didn't know that.
Right there in Greensboro.
in Greensboro.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's one of the last dealerships that Enzo Ferrari signed off on in the United States.
Good.
Yeah. 1978 was when it was put
Now,
down.
who was the guy that really kind of headed up the whole United States deal? That was
Luigi
dark-
Canetti.
Luigi Canetti.
Yeah. And so the story goes that Luigi, he was, and Luigi was a little upset that the dealership in North Carolina got put there because it was kind of an end around, and Enzo put it there.
really?
Luigi didn't really care for it at the time. So Steve Barney owned the dealership, started the dealership originally, and sold it to Benny in the 1990s. So it's been around for a long time. And the good news is, a lot of our sales guys have been around for a long time. So 20 plus years for all the guys there. So they know the market, they know the people, they know where the cars are. And as you know, it's a big deal to know where those are and find them. And to buy them right, you have to know where they are.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Ferraris are Ferraris. I mean, everybody wants one. The funny thing you told me, Brian, when we were talking, I don't even remember how the conversation came up, but we were talking about some car, and you said, yeah, we had one at Streetside, and the first thing
any woman would do when we walked over and saw it. Say, well, it's not a Ferrari. Exactly. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a Fiat. It was something really cool. I think it was a Pantera.
Yeah, Pantera.
That's not a Pantera. Yeah. It was that yellow. It was that yellow Pantera.
Okay, sure. They have a resemblance there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
sort of.
And I'll tell you something. A Pantera, to me, a Pantera, and I've never have really understood why they hadn't just gone crazy. But I mean, like the Iso Grifo, which is basically an Italian car with a Corvette motor.
Yeah.
They went crazy. Now they're huge money. But the Pantera is a Italian car with a American motor, Ford motor.
Yeah.
350. And why do you think they? Now you had one. You had a Pantera.
I've had several. Yeah, and they've gone. I think they've gone up pretty significantly. I mean, I remember I sold one in 2011 for about $40,000.
Well, you can still buy them. You can still find them for less than 100, I think.
I think you can, but this one probably would. This was very low miles, and it's probably $120,000, $140,000 car today.
Yeah, so I mean, about the ballpark that the yellow one we had,
right,
which was really, really well done.
Yeah,
they're a really, really cool car. But you're right, they've never really taken off. I had one get away from me. I couldn't afford it. I just graduated college, 1983. The guy wanted $11,000 for it.
Wow. Why do you think they didn't take
You
off?
graduated from college in 1983. I just want to go back to that. Sorry, I'm distracted.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. I'm about to celebrate the 23rd anniversary of my 40th birthday.
Wow. Nice how you put
While
that.
we're in Hilton Head, actually.
Yeah.
That's putting things in perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
So why do you think
Mark will be leaving the show just a minute.
Why do you think the Pantera didn't take off?
Well, I've got a reason. The guy that restored that 68 GT500 KR is my good friend up in Winston-Salem, Hunter Williard.
Uh-huh.
And Hunter is a great restoration guy. And every time I find a Pantera that I have some interest in, I'll call him up, give me your ideas. What do you think? And a lot of times they'll be online, which you can easily go look at. And but he says that the tubular steel that they built the chassis out of was treated for rust on the outside, but not on the inside.
And that seems familiar.
Yeah.
And
if it ever gets any moisture on the inside of that tubular frame, then there could be some hidden rusty spots there that could be weak. And how do you prove that?
Yeah, they didn't start undercoating them completely until later models.
But here's the deal. But here's the deal, Mark. You go undercoat, who cares? You're undercoat the outside.
Yeah, but then it's going to rust from the inside out.
Yep. Inside out. Yeah.
The build quality wasn't particularly great on those.
No,
in the beginning.
No.
That was when Italian build quality on anything, even Ferraris, was. I mean, those were the 355 430.
The 348,
There's 348.
355, and they went into the.
Oh, Pantera was here before that.
Of course, before that.
Well before that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really a general deal.
Yeah, I don't think the late 70s, early 80s was kind to Ferrari.
Well,
To most manufacturers.
To kind of any sport.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you had
and I've always said, I mean,
Although look at G-body Porsches right now, 80s Porsches.
Oh, yeah.
You got one.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
That's like one. That's one exception.
and that's German. I mean, German is a whole nother category. in my opinion.
Right.
But I've often said that the collector car, the muscle car era was late 60s to 1972. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So and everybody forever. I mean, you could see the LS6 Chevelles and the stuff go huge at Barrett Jackson, different things like that. And that really got that whole deal going. And then, of course, here comes Meekum with the whole muscle car museum or muscle car auction. But really and truthfully, the muscle car wars are right now.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right now, because you can go buy 1,000 horsepower Corvette. You can go buy, and then of course, then you throw in the electrics. And that's a whole nother category.
Right.
Or the hybrids. But the muscle car wars are right now. I mean, that right there sets 1,000 horsepower.
Right.
And that's 2.5 times what it was in 1972.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that goes with that is not only the horsepower, but the drivability.
Yeah.
You have to have a car that's can handle that.
Well,
provide the enjoyment.
I've always said that Mama can drive it to the grocery store. Right. And, you think about them old 450 Chevelles. I mean, the cam timing, everything was. I mean, they're loping down the street, and you hit the gas. It was all a mail, but boy, you better be on the gas.
Right.
So just yesterday, I was at an event that we sponsored at Streetside. Really cool festival, OTR.
Yeah.
And they do a ride, drive, fly-in thing. No, I'm not condoning this, but it was fun to watch. So they open up the airstrip, and they're letting guys make passes. Just they're dropping flags, boom, running motorcycles. So guys there in about a 60 Corvette, right? Slight resto mod, nothing crazy, and it's small block, automatic, right? Lines up against a modern Mustang, right? So here we've got a ton of technology,
Right.
Complete old school, but really nice build.
Yeah. Right.
Drop the flags. The vet jumps him, gets a better start,
Yeah.
right? Guy in the Mustang obviously had his traction control off because he just spun his tires all the way down. So there's something to be said for nannies. Leave the stuff on.
Yeah.
And enjoy the car.
It'll keep you out of trouble.
Oh, yeah.
But the computers can think so much faster than we
So
can.
much faster.
That's right.
Right. So let them handle it. That's why they're there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think about the combination of valve timing and ignition timing with the computers,
Right.
and fuel injection.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
we can't think that fast.
Right. And you take a look at the Ferrari 296. That with that hybrid power system that's in that.
Yeah.
And the hybrid's like a third turbo in it. It's absolutely amazing how it goes. But it's all computer controlled. It's only going to give you the power that the tires in the car senses that will keep that thing in on the track.
Question for you, and for all three of you, really. The last 10 years, okay? Last 10 years, what, and this is really for you guys out there to really kind of get a picture of what you can do, what's still out there that honestly, in my opinion, what happens is here a car comes out and it may be a supercar and it gets marked up a little bit or whatever, but the price is over here. It comes down, basically hits the bottom of the lake right here, okay? And then you give it a little time, here it comes back. And then that's where you want them. You want to buy stocks the same way.
Right.
And you want to buy on that incline, and then incline again. So, but to you guys, all three of you guys, in the last 10 years, tell me your opinion of a car that is dead on money. That's absolutely a great investment.
Right. Right.
Predicting?
Steve, yeah.
And
Predicting, of course.
Right.
Modern,
We don't know for
modern
sure.
or vintage?
No, 10
the
years.
last 10 years.
Last 10 years.
Less than years, okay.
Last 10 years.
I would have to say 10 years, you'd have to go with the Ferrari 458. The Ferrari 458 is enough generations behind the F8 Tributo, which was the last of the V8s. So you're enough generation behind that those cars have sort of settled out when it comes to price and how many are on the market. Right. The whole business model of Ferrari is scarcity and personalization. So that car now is a little bit more scarce. You don't see them everywhere. Right. People are kind of putting them away, not putting tons of miles on them. You cannot get a manual in that, unfortunately, because I think the 430 manuals are probably the really way to go.
Yeah, right.
But the 458, that last naturally aspirated V8, it still has some of that modern comforts that people want today.
Yeah.
And I think that's the car that's going to do well. And there's one sitting back there.
Well, I had that white tan Guts one that I procured from the dealership when I was working with you down there.
Yes, you did.
The car that didn't get caught in Nashville in a snowstorm.
Yeah.
But I've got this one back here, and the interesting thing to me about that prediction right there, Steve, is this 458 is dual clutch.
Yep.
Which the shifting is just automatic. Beside it is a 430, which is a 3-pedal gated shift.
Yes.
But I had a 430 before that was the F1
training. Yep.
And it was slow as hell. I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in race mode, it wasn't very
right.
fast. But the difference in those two cars is night and day.
100%. And that's the difference between the dual clutch and the old single clutch.
Exactly.
The F1 transmission, and for those of you who don't know, that Ferrari invented the paddle shift. That came out on their Formula One cars in the late 80s, early 90s. So that's why they went to it. That was the latest, greatest, the coolest stuff at the time. So the single clutch, which is the 430 and earlier, really was just a pneumatic actuator of a manual box.
Yeah.
Right. So it was clunky.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one thing, and it obviously hadn't hurt the prices because they're still rising like crazy.
Yeah.
But the Toyota LFA, the single clutch.
Yeah.
And I think that really hurts that.
And a lot of the Aston Martins are single clutch, right, as well. So they've improved it over the years, I think, on the Aston Martin side. So it acts a little bit more like a dual clutch.
Yeah.
But there's still no substitution for the dual clutch. It's shift with no lift. I mean, it's just easy to use.
Bam, like a motor.
So quick.
Yeah,
So quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, give me your thoughts.
it comes down to two. One, because I want one. But I'm going to go with the Porsche 997.
Yeah.
I think that car is kind of hit a spot. You can drive them every day. You can enjoy them. You can, and there's a ton of different versions out of them. For me, I'd probably like a GTS that they could be like.
Now, is that still the air cooled or is that the?
They're water cooled cars.
Yeah. I had a 997.2 Turbo S cab.
Right.
That was a great car. Great car. That was the fastest damn thing I'd ever seen.
Absolutely.
They're great all rounders.
Yeah.
That's what I do. But I'm a recovery.
What was the other car?
I want a Vanquish.
A Vanquish.
Of course he does. Yeah.
Of course. Who wouldn't? Mark, what's your thought?
Well, I've been doing this for over 25 years, so we've talked about this at length during my career, talking about what's the next thing, right?
Yeah.
So I was on the 911s, 80s 911s, when they were like $10,000, $12,000.
Right. Now they're 100,000.
Right. And my answer would be a generalized answer, but I think gated shifters, anything gated shifters, V10, V12, are huge. Low mileage cars. But also owning one, I have to say, we've talked about this. The Vantage in a 6-speed with a 4.3 liter engine is a phenomenal car. I mean, it doesn't perform like the 911 does, but it's a complete visceral analog experience that is it's hard to replicate. And they're on a little bit of a dip right now. I've noticed that I've watched them on Bring a Trailer where they were going for so much money and they seem to pull back a bit.
Yeah.
So if you find one with low mileage.
Do you think that's the market or the economy right now, or is that the car?
I think it's the car. People are a little bit afraid of it because they don't know as much about the Aston maintenance.
V12.
The V12 is very much desirable. The V8 though would be more of a mainstream car where you don't have to worry about the service as much.
Right.
And but they are phenomenal cars. I mean, they're comfortable.
Good-looking cars.
Good-looking cars.
Especially the bespoke car. A bespoke car.
Because it's very much like a Porsche.
Amazing fit and finish on those.
Yes, and absolutely. The dash and everything is just it's put together. And I'm biased to the 4.3 liter with a better dash, better seats, but it's just a wonderful road car. And the ones with low mileage, I've watched them on Bring a Trailer where they've just haven't been bringing so much or been no sales. Yeah. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity to buy them. They're all handmade cars. They're aluminum.
Oh, they're all handmade?
Yeah, and there's limited production 6-speeds. And the 6-speed, to your point, with a paddle shift is entirely different car.
Totally different car.
Totally different car.
Yeah, right.
And I had one, and I always regret selling it. I put a Quicksilver exhaust on it, and it just sounded like a monster. And more so the coupes than the roadsters, because the coupes have that line where the roadsters sort of don't. You'll see the difference in price if you watch them. So,
but there's a reason why they use that car as the basis for their Le Mans race car.
Yeah,
because it's an incredible chassis. Yeah, great engine. Yeah, I mean, that's a good choice.
It's everything about it is just. I mean, it's everything. It's seating position. It's comfortable. It's just a great all-around car.
I drove a DB9 on a tour we did in Europe.
Yeah,
and my wife hated that car because it had seats that held you.
Right.
But they weren't great seats that held you.
Right.
And so I mean, she's sliding all over the place with the seatbelt on.
A little flat.
I love that. Car drove great. It was a paddle shift, and car drove great. But I think a lot of people forget about Aston Martin.
They do
because and you got to keep in mind, Carroll Shelby won Le Mans in 1959 in an Aston Martin.
Yes,
good point.
Right,
good point.
Yeah,
but it all goes back to the whole scarcity thing. You take a look at Aston Martin; they build half as many cars as Ferrari does, right?
Yeah.
But yet there's not that demand for an Aston Martin that you find in Ferraris.
So the rarity is a lot more.
Yeah.
They're more rarable to find in an Aston Martin.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing about this, guys, I mean, we talk a lot about you know, how great these things are to collect, and how the money will, you know, will do good and you will do well, but it depends a lot on what you're buying. But I tell you, you know, the key to anything is rarity. You know, one guy told me one time, said, you know, yeah, if I've got it and you don't, that's right. That's the whole key to.
Well, you mentioned it in the muscle car, right? The blue chip Chevelle is the 70 LS6. Yeah, that's the car.
Yeah,
but you can get a lot of, you know, 70 SSs that are really nice cars.
Most cars.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, LS5s, right? You know, and kind of below. But there's a reason why they kind of double as you go up the model range.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a blue chip domestic car. LS6 Chevelle 4-speed, Marina Blue or Fathom Green.
And we're seeing that in the new car stuff on the Ferrari side, which will be your future classics, right? So we're seeing a lot of people that are choosing not red. And it's all because they want to make it unique.
Sure.
They're trying to make it a one-of-one type situation.
Yeah. Remember that, and I didn't think I'd like it when I heard it coming, and you brought it down when I was working at the Aston dealer. You brought, was it a Tributo, the yellow Tributo with the navy interior with the yellow piping, yellow lights? I'm like, oh, this thing's going to be horrific. And it looked stunning.
Stunning. Absolutely beautiful. And that's the thing. If you can choose the right paint and you can choose the right interior, it doesn't matter. There's going to be someone out there that is going to look at that and say, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, right.
I want that part of my car.
It's one of one.
And it's a one-of-one.
Right.
You try to make it as, and that's what's great about Ferrari, because it's all about personalization, right? You can personalize that car and create it however you want.
Well, it's almost like when you're getting, you know, a Seville Row suit, if it were in Aston or you're in Milan fashion shopping, in your stores, you have the room, right?
Correct.
Where you go in and you feel, touch.
You touch it, you feel it, look at it. And, you know, our guys have had such a long experience there that they'll say, ask the first question, are you going to keep it? Or are you going to sell it?
Yeah.
Because that's going to dictate what you're going to do with the build. You know, every new Ferrari is custom built, so you're gonna tailor make it based on how you want it to be in the future.
You know, there's a GTS, the Ferrari 12-cylinder GTS, A12 GTS. That's one thing. And that's on Bring a Trailer right now, that has the Design-O package on it, where the guy went to New York and so it's got like 10 tailor-made. Yeah,
I got to watch that one.
And it's 10 or 12 days that guys had on it or he has it to be on there for a long time. And I mean, it's just like the one our friend Bob has.
Yeah,
you know, that
beautiful car.
That's a special car. I mean, it's that the interesting thing is I had a GTS, a great car, and liked the car, really did, but because the options are what drives those cars, right? Drives the price,
right? It does.
You know, and you know that car did not get great money when I sold it. I made great money on it,
sure,
but
was there nothing special about it?
It just didn't have many options. It didn't have a ton of options. It had some, but didn't have many. It wasn't a paid to sample car or anything like that.
Right.
And but that's real big. I mean, even paid to sample. I mean, you know, our friend at Vance Step that we had on there a few weeks ago. He is my guy for Bring a Trailer. He's sending me stuff all the time, and boy, one thing he is really big is paint to sample.
Right, because of the uniqueness factor.
Any Porsche that's paint to sample or anything like that, the uniqueness factor and the rarity factor on it is just over the top.
But when does Steve can answer this? So when does a limited production supersede that? I mean, how does it, you know, overcome that? Because you got an E12. There's not many made, right?
Right.
So I mean, if you want one. I mean, like a car like yours, it may not be the exact color you want, but you're going to have limited options on a car with low miles, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but if you think about limited options, also means a lower MSRP.
Yes.
Right. So your pricing is down. There are people that will look at it from a price perspective and say, I'll take that one because it's a lower price because it had fewer options.
Yeah.
Or you'll have some that are super expensive because it has everything. So it does change who your buyer is going to be based on what the MSRP was.
Well, one of the things I learned on that car, Steve, I bought it from you guys. It was the one that was the creamish color. The guy that had it didn't have the yellow calipers and it didn't have the badges on.
Correct. I know
because the badges would look really bad because they told me they put the badges on
Right.
and didn't like it on that color.
Yeah,
'cause it's
yes.
same
I
color.
believe that was Grigio Ingrid was the color.
Your Ingrid was
Yeah,
exactly
and then
right.
Ingrid-
Beautiful car.
And that's a rare color.
Yeah,
That color is named after the actress Ingrid Bergman.
Yes.
So that's a really unique color. Very, very cool. You can do a lot of things with that car. And I remember you had silver wheels on that car, I believe.
I believe.
I've seen that color. We've done a car in that color that had gold wheels, and it changes the color.
Oh, you know,
Because it brings the brown out. And
You know that
color.
car?
Yeah.
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 we know it. Yep.
So it's it depends. You can have a really unique color like that, but if you don't also put on some other things to make the build, get the MSRP up there, then it's going to be a little different.
Yeah, I ordered that car. I mean,
He
he
did.
ordered a car without the shields and
Yeah.
without the cowl.
And to your point with
But
the
I
shield,
think, like I said, at the sale, I think it hurt that car.
I think you're right. There's a lot of people that look at it and say, the shield's not on it. Now, Ferrari would argue that says everyone that knows Ferrari knows it's Ferrari, so you don't need the shield.
Right.
So, but it's a splash of yellow. If you have no other yellow on the car and you have that shield, now it's a splash of yellow that
It would clash a little bit.
Yeah.
it does on that color. It does.
Yeah.
It was kind of more pure without it.
Yeah. I love the car.
Yeah.
And
It's gorgeous.
Remember that Daytona?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That
Color.
Unique color, no badges on that. That was, right, that's just a very pale yellow, what they made like 20 some of them in it.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. We just built a car for a client, and they left the shields off on purpose.
Question, guys, and Brown, I know you'll have a big opinion on this, as I do, but give me your thoughts on early Japanese cars. I mean, from a collectability standpoint. They're on their way up. They're definitely on the way up.
I know. Again, yesterday I was at this hot rod show, right? And the guy, one of the cars that stole the show was a JDM RX-7 twin turbo, the Rumble RX-7 right-hand drive, right? Like,
What year is that?
93,
Oh, okay.
roughly.
Yeah.
It was white, not an exciting color. It was white, red guts. It was lowered. It has a set of BBSs on it, and not too many mods on it. But people kept walking up to the cars who were into everything, because there was everything there from Tri-5s to Mopars to modern stuff. But yeah, and I heard a couple of them say, "This is my favorite car."
But don't you think that that's guys our age remember those cars?
Yeah,
that's where now we
it's
we're in a stage of life where we have more money and more ability to do things.
It's the poster cars.
It's a poster car you had in high school.
That's
What
right.
you were following in high school, those are the cars.
But all cars,
The Supras, go ahead. I'm sorry.
all cars then sort of bring back memory.
Right.
So we're looking back, and that's bringing back memory of a time that those cars represent. So I think those things do great. I'd love to have it.
My good friend Dale Ledbetter told me one time, he heads up Rick Hendricks Museum, and he told me one time, he said, the cars you want to buy are the cars are on people's walls.
Right. Yeah.
But the posters that were on the
Yeah,
walls.
right.
That's the cars you want. But you think about that. That has a definite ending time.
Yeah.
Because that was basically Gen X. Because everything after that went to computers. Now again, what come up the other day was saying, well, you want the cars that are on people's screens.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Screens.
or in video games.
Yeah.
The cars that are in video games.
Video games, yeah.
That's the thing.
There's some artists that will digitally, like, you could take your Ferrari and digitally alter it to look like it was in a 90s Nintendo game.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's great.
That's pretty cool.
But at the dealership, I've got some JDM stuff in there because I'm trying to get different people into street side for that. So we've got an SC400, but it's Japanese right-hand drive version.
Nice.
It's got a 570 horsepower Mitsubishi Evo, a killer car, and a Subi. Everybody loves Subi
well.
Yeah, WRX STI. So we see a lot. I see because we're right next to the go-kart track.
Yeah.
K1 speed. I see a lot of teenagers come right.
Yeah.
They don't have their license yet. Mom, dad dropped them off. Right, they're done racing or they're waiting on their time, and that's the stuff they're gravitating to. It's cool when you see them appreciate the old stuff, but they're gravitating to the late model stuff and the JDM stuff.
Well, and I tell you, the interesting thing about the JDM stuff, you think about it, the whole car thing's just like when Lee Iacocca was explaining to Henry Ford in Ford versus Ferrari that here are the war's over, so the soldiers came back, started having babies. And now all these babies are coming of age, and that was in 1964. So all these babies are coming of age. Now they're 18, 19 years old from when the war ended in 45. And so that was the baby boomers.
Right.
And so, but the interesting thing about the Japanese cars is the baby boomers, we occupied Europe. Okay, we occupied a huge amount of Europe. So the baby boomers got to drive Jaguars, and they got to drive Mercedes and Porsches and Ferraris and Lamborghinis. They got to drive all that when they were over there, when those cars were nothing to nobody, but they got to drive all those cars. We never occupied Japan.
Right.
We went over there with a damn big bomb and just blew it up. So I think, and then of course Japan after that, after World War II, kind of had to start over with their economy, coming up. It really wasn't, the currency wasn't worth much. They were basically building cars out of recycled metal from World War II.
Right.
And they made a lot of mistakes. And but
eventually they got all these things right, because Porsche went with the 993 to figure out how to automate that process.
Exactly. But you think about it. Think about how many baby boomers that hated Japan so bad, told all their kids, Gen X, told all their kids, you don't want that Jap crap.
Buy an English car.
Yeah,
They loved English cars.
They loved English cars.
Yeah. A lot of pilots. Yeah.
And so it's interesting to look at how that has changed through the years. Then you get up in the mid '80s. Now you're into the third generation after the baby boomers.
Right.
And buddy, here comes a Honda Accord, fastest sell car in America. You waited a year to get one. Hell, Z cars, you waited over a year to get one. And that was in 1970.
Wow. And the Z cars, as we were talking, the Z cars resemble so much a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the E-Type.
Also E-Types. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I was going to say that.
So they were sort of a look that people really responded to and really admired, and the Japanese sort of made that into a Z car.
There's the sandback long hood. Is
Right.
beautiful.
Exactly.
There's a great video of these Japanese car makers in 1969 or 1970 that actually brought a 240Z to America, drove across America just to kind of see, what was special about it, blah, blah, blah. And how well it adapted to American roads. Nobody ever seen one before, and these people are gawking at it,
Right.
and da-da-da. And but it's interesting to see how that all came about.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things that I love so much about the Z cars, and probably my first love of all cars was Z cars.
Yeah.
And I think you go back to the classics, and I was in Seattle this summer and went to the Museum de LeMay Museum out there, and they had a JDM sort of display going on, and going through and taking a look at what the design cues were over time and how it translates in today's design. It's amazing. I think all kids need to go back and look at classics, because you can see where they get an appreciation where it came from.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. There's always design cues that come up through, and I think Porsche is one of the best that does it. Ferrari is pretty good with their latest cars. The new Dodici Cilindri that looks like the 365 GTB, and taking some of those design cues from previous cars.
And it's interesting too as to how much racing has on cars, because back in the day, of course, all the NASCAR stuff went on Sunday, sell on Monday. But, you think about the Japanese stuff. Think about how big the Nissan GTP car and the Toyota GTP car were in the mid to late 80s, early 90s. I mean, they ruled the day. It was
What's the track in Japan? Just escapes me.
Suzuka.
Yeah. So where the Nissan Prince is running a four-door sedan, right, and getting around and leading 904s.
Right. Yeah.
And right, which is a bit embarrassing for Porsche.
Yeah. Right.
But it's like, and that was like, we knew what a Prince was back then.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then within 2 years, 3 years, here they are. Yeah, here they are. Right. People didn't even know what the Fair Lady was.
Right.
In the 2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't remember that Mazda was the first Japanese manufacturer to win Le Mans.
Yes.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And wasn't that in
that car
shrieked GTP or something?
It was the GTP category, Group C or something like that, but it was similar to GTP.
Back when you put your feet in front of the front axle.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
But guys, you know, the one thing that we have, being collectors, all of us, and having a lot of input into it, is really just seeing. And one of the things we're going to have on an upcoming. In fact, we're filming it next Monday night. But one of the things we're going to have on an upcoming episode is our wives. We're going to have the housewives of parking money.
You're going to entrust
The real housewives.
You're going to entrust 3 wives with the only single guy.
and so we're going to have it, because one thing that we've seen, particularly, all you guys are basically dealers. I'm not, but all you guys are.
Yeah.
You know, how many times have you talk to a guy? He's just and slobbering over himself. You know, just wants to. But he sits there and he rubs his chin. And he goes, "God, I'd love to have it." He said, "But my wife would kill me."
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
We hear it every week.
We've had someone come into the dealership and say, this car's great. How much is it? And we'll say, that's, $300,000. He's like, no, that car's $4.5 million. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, because that's what it's going to cost me in the divorce when I buy that car. So, but that's true. It happens all the time in what we do. And we did a program a number of years ago where we wanted women to come and test drive the cars.
Yeah, right.
And drive that. Cindy Sisson put that together with us, and a lot of the ladies came in just so they don't feel intimidated by it, number one.
Right.
And number two, that they understand what we all love.
Yeah.
They get to drive it and they understand it, and it just makes it easier for them to say, yeah, let's do that, because I understand it, I get it.
That's one of the reasons that we created this podcast, and we're going to try our best to get around this, because the thing about it is, if we can get the ladies to understanding that piece of metal that's in the garage, sitting out there in the garage, that's not Daddy's toy, that's an asset.
Correct.
You know, and if Dad is smart and he bought it right, then basically it's just sitting out there appreciate.
Right.
It is a part of his memory, his childhood. Yeah, granted, but it's truly an asset. And I mean, just like you guys have, I have, you can buy and sell and trade these things and do real well on it.
Absolutely.
And
Like jewelry, art.
Yeah.
exactly. No different.
Mike, I've seen a little bit of a shift in that.
Hey,
I have to say,
I know with the recent story with the Bronco.
yes, a recent story with the Bronco. I sold the Jaguar E-Type to the wife, coordinated the whole sale.
Yeah.
She had to get approval from the husband.
No kidding.
And this is not the first time this has happened. I sold another E-Type to a really good client in Mooresville, and he can't take the car out. His wife takes it, goes away for 3 hours. He has no idea where she is. And every time he takes it out, he gets in trouble. So he wanted to buy another E-Type from me. And I've seen
What is all that problem?
And I saw this shift with the Bronco when I was doing this deal, and his wife came along. She was great. Hey, Lauren, if you're watching. But it was this 1972 Ford Bronco, and the gentleman who drove it, I was afraid for him to drive it, because you know how a Bronco drives. If you don't know how a 72 Bronco drives, right?
Yeah.
So she was sitting in the back. I'm like, oh, she's going to sit over the rear axle, and every bump, she's going to feel it. And she was walking around it, and she couldn't quite grasp what it was.
Right.
She thought it was another frivolous purchase.
Right.
I needed to explain to her. I said, look, this is an investment. You paid X amount for it. You take it to places, and they're big Georgia Bulldog fans. Oh, yeah. So they bought its colored Georgia Bulldog colors. And you take it places, and you're buying on the down of the market. So it's going to appreciate, but you're not going to lose money on this thing. I said, you have to look at this like this is an asset. This is a work of art. This is like it's like buying a painting. And if you take care of it and improve little things over it, every dollar you invest in it is going to get you $2 or $3.
Right.
So when she understood that, she was on board. She's like, send him the money right now.
Yeah.
So it was, I've seen a little bit of a shift in the past few years where it's always like, oh, I have to talk to my wife. Oh, I'm never going to hear from him again.
The guys joke about that at our place too.
Right.
If you got to ask, you're not buying.
Right.
There's some truth in it, but there's a hey, you're a couple. It's we're making an investment in this.
A majority is that, it's probably they're not gonna be on board. But like you said, I've seen a little bit, and I've been doing this for a long time in this past 2-3 years, where I've seen a shift when they involve the spouse, and then they're not against it. They're on board.
Let's face it, they can enjoy driving as well.
Exactly, and that's why there's more.
But they have
people
to
buying.
they have to be shown that they can enjoy driving.
Yes, that's why
it's not innate like it is for us. We just hey, this can be fun too.
Yeah, and that's why you see automatics buying Jaguar E-Type Series 3 automatics, so their wife can drive. Can participate. Yes.
But that's good with the Ferraris too, because now you got that paddle shift.
Right.
But it can be an automatic.
It can be an automatic. Right.
So they can be as easy as you want it to be.
So right now, there's some woman out there fuming over this conversation.
Yeah, we don't want to offend anybody here. Yeah.
I get that, and her obstination is probably coming from just wanting to be proven right. And and let me tell you something. There's a lot of junk out there. If you ain't buying the right stuff, and you're buying something that's rusty as crap, or that's got a little tick in the motor, and you're not sure what that is.
She just popped on Kim Barnes. You know Kim, the Tiger. Yeah, right. So her husband didn't care that much about the cars. She had a bunch of cool. You know Kim. She had a bunch of cool Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really. I think the narrative was out for the longest time. Real quick, I'll just say this: is that they're just cars. They're just cars, and getting people past that is it's difficult to understand that this is because everybody traditionally people thought you buy a new car, it goes down in value. They don't understand older cars hold their value or go up in value depending on how you want to take care of it.
Yeah.
So
But couldn't you say that with Ferrari? I mean, it's not just a Ferrari.
I didn't just say because they have limited production. They're limited production. You take care of them. Don't put any miles on them. They're gonna.
We always say that the best Ferrari client are those that have the money,
right,
the time,
right,
the passion.
Right.
You have to have all three of those things. But
Steve, now when you see the Ferraris go down, what would you say is really the low price? Yeah, you say low price, and I know that's kind of hard to define. But you say low price. What was it as a
value?
If you had a little less than $100,000, right? What Ferrari would you look at?
There are so many people that love the 360 is a great car that can be right around that 100,000 range. You can go to a 308
gated.
360 great gated is awesome. Again, they did make it in the F1 transmission, which is a little bit different. There's more of the F1 cars than there are the gated cars.
Right.
But the 360 is a great car.
Yeah.
The 430 is built on that same platform. So
a little bit bigger.
The looks of it, even today, you can drive a 360 and people don't know that it's a 20-year-old car.
No. Right.
And that car, that 360 now, can be Classic A.
Okay.
So the Classic A 20.
Explain Classic A.
Yeah, so it's a new program with Ferrari. You take it to a Classic A dealer, which Foreign Cars Italia is. We do a lot of photographs of that car, make sure that the parts are original or like original type parts. We send that all over to Italy. Ferrari is one of the few car companies in the world that has a schematic of every car they ever built. They have build sheets of every car since the beginning. There's an archive room. They pull that. They make sure that the parts and the photographs that we've sent over are true to that car. And then they certify it. And you get a book with all the photos and the certifications and all that. What that does is it gives you a little bit more of a warranty.
Right.
Because you know that that's a certified pre-owned. And then it also helps your value. Because the factory in Italy has approved that car as authentic.
So you're making initial investment to improve the value of it.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And 360s and earlier can be done.
Yeah.
Any of those can be done.
355.
355s.
355 Berlin, and I'm a fan of those.
Yeah, those are great cars. And the 360 is probably one of the more maintenance-friendly ones as well. Is that after the 355? It was a little bit...
after the 355 for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, the 430 went to a chain instead of a belt. Okay, on the timing chain.
Correct.
And that's what made it really to me a better car because the timing belts is just so hard to keep up with.
Yeah, that's an engine out.
Yeah, it's in now.
Make sure if you're selling it, right, that belt is in the kit, right?
Oh yeah,
your 30-year-old belt you'll never use in your car. Got to be in that tool.
Got to be in the dual kit,
right?
Yeah,
exactly.
And ladies, let me assure you of one thing: if your husband comes home and he's found a great deal on a Ferrari 360 in great condition, you will never lose money on that. Right. I promise you. I mean, unless he just paid a ton for it, and that's possible.
Right.
But they will sit there and gain value, and I promise you, wherever you go, whether it's to ladies group meeting or shopping or wherever, you pull up dinner tonight. You pull up in a Ferrari 360, and like I said, those are under. I mean, you can find them all day under $70,000-$80,000. You pull up in a Ferrari 360. There will be people looking at it as you're looking out of the dining room through the window at your car. There'll be people 100%. Walking around looking at that car because it amazes me with Ferraris, as you know, and there's a ton now compared to what there used to be, but. It's amazing how many people. I'll tell you an interesting story. I had this white with blue stripe Ford GT, and to me that's my car to have, because they're just going straight up, and my buddy Matt McSwain, who y'all know, is I told him one day, I said, man, I said I traded the Ford GT for an 812 Superfast Ferrari. And Matt told me, he said, oh, man, you totally messed up. He said, I can't believe you did that. I said, why not? I said, man, it's an 8 Ferrari. That's cool. Yeah. He said, I'm going to tell you right now, he said, everywhere you go, nobody will look at that Ferrari. But everywhere you go in that Ford GT, everybody will be crawling all over. Dude, we went to dinner that night, you know, Bob, our friend Bob Goof, right at the Ford GT. We go to dinner that night with him and his wife. I pull right in behind him, perfectly behind him in that 812 Superfast. 4 guys walk up. None of them pay a bit of attention to that Ferrari. All of them are crawling all over Ford GT. Yeah, it's crazy. I had to call Matt. I said, God, I can't right.
And the drive of the Ford GT. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
What a car to drive.
What a car to drive.
Yeah, but there's still no sound like a Ferrari 12.
No, I totally agree.
Right. You open that thing up.
Oh, my goodness.
It's stout. Yeah.
No argument there. Yeah, for sure.
It is definitely a good car.
Yeah.
Ferraris were some of the best sounding cars.
Yes. Even the V8s, even the 430s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sound amazing.
Before I take it off here, we've pretty much reached our hour. So let's go around the table. Anything else you'd like to say, Steve? Or?
Yeah, no. You know, I always say with the Ferraris, buy one that means something to you.
Yeah.
You know, if that's your passion, and Ferrari is a piece of art on wheels, buy one that speaks to you. That it doesn't have to be red. If a white one
does not, and
it has the right interior for you, buy that one. You know, because you're not going to go wrong with it. Right. So that's what I would say. Buy the one that is the most speaking to you.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Mark, do your homework.
Right. Do your homework.
Do your homework. Well, we can help you with that. Anybody here at this table,
right,
certainly can help you with. Whether it's Foreign Cars Italia, Motor Car Trader, or Foreign Cars Italia, all of them.
Yep.
Do your homework. Don't be afraid. Invest a little money up front.
Right.
Like I like to think of, I'm the caretaker of several of my large consignors' collections, right? And it's a business.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's a value to that, that stuff. So I get all the time. I actually, when we were sitting here, I'm sorry, guys, production team, when my watch binged, that was somebody asking me about a car. Is this a decent investment? Right. So just do your homework, pay for a PPI, buy the best example that you can find.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Right. And guys, again, before we get to you, Mark, we do offer, if you subscribe to our parking money deal here, we do offer the service of if you are thinking about a car and you kind of really want to make sure it's a real good deal and you'd like to bring it and put it on that 2-car lift right there, 2-post lift right there, we'll crawl all over it and give you our opinion of it. Tell you what it's worth.
Bring Mark back.
Yeah, bring Mark back, bring Steve back. We'll crawl all over it and give you what we think. It's a great car. It's not a great car, period. And we do that as a service on this to our subscribers, and and really just to kind of bring you up to speed. What we feel like the deal is, and we've got a guy in our Lake Norman car group that's got a 68 Oldsmobile that he's putting up for sale, and he's going to bring it over. We're going to put it. It's going to be one of our upcoming episodes very soon. And but honestly, the hard part we've run into on that is finding an Oldsmobile expert.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because you figure Oldsmobile's been gone for a long time. So is Pontiac.
Good point.
So finding that expert is really tough. I mean, they pretty much aged out, and but we're still forever looking. But you're anything you want to add?
Well, my thoughts is going back to a lot what Brian said is the value when you're buying cars. I don't think you're looking. The good deal is not your traditional good deal. I think you have to pay for value on these cars. And what I do with my business at motorcartrader.com is our business model is that I invest money to make the cars better. Now you can always find one for less, but then you're going to have to do all this work.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people they understand when they buy cars from me or from other places that there's been a lot of this work done, and there's a lot of value there, because otherwise taking a Jag and finding a shop to do it, I'm not saying you're never gonna have to do anything with an car, but I think part of a good deal is there's certain intrinsic value of what was done recently. Now, if nothing's been done for the last 20 years, I mean, you're like, whoa, you may have to do a bit of work, but I think that really a lot of collectors need to understand the value, because you have a budget. I'm staying to this budget. I'm going to stay on this budget. But, if you invest a little bit more, you might get more in return, and long term too.
Good point.
So yeah,
one of the key phrases that I think that when you're looking for these old cars is one of the key phrases that you're always looking for is, I'd like to buy from a reputable dealer. Guys, I got news for you right here. These are 3 massively reputable dealers.
very much.
And one of the things that we want to help you do is buy the right stuff and pay the right money for it, and it be something that you can count on special. So if you, like I said, now we're gonna trade that service out. If you had these guys, you paid them to do it, be one thing. We're gonna trade that service out just for the content, just to kind of show people what we see and what we recognize and what you should be looking out for. And if you've got something out there that you'd like us to do, reach out. We'd love to.
Then we certainly have it home with you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You mentioned the comment about Oldsmobiles. I already thought of a guy.
Well, did you really?
Yeah, I thought of a guy that's going to know the right guy.
Oh, no kidding.
But that's what
I'm saying.
one of the things you mentioned about the dealers, and thank you for that compliment from everybody. It's a completely different vibe, than going to a mass manufacturing new car dealership. You come into our place, it's a vintage car show, right. You're seeing the best of British if you walk into your boutique shop. If you've never been in one of the Ferrari stores, just go check it out. It's
incredible.
It's very personalized. It's not that you're not shopping for a commodity.
It's relationship. It's relationship based. Yes.
And I think you see that when you come to our dealership, and we've had people tell us before, they said, we've been to other Ferrari dealerships, and they're not like you guys. You guys just let us come in and walk around and explore.
Right.
And the biggest difference is we're all car guys.
Yeah.
We'd much rather be out talking to people than sitting in our office.
Yeah.
And so
we don't want you coming here and making a mistake and us having to
absolutely.
That's
right. So we'll talk to you and talk cars. And
one thing I love about all you guys is everybody has access to a 2-post lift, and you're not afraid at all. And you think about it. Think about how much more of an advantage it is to have that 2-post lift to be able to crawl it. Go to an auction, okay? Go buy something at an auction. It comes down the line. You can't get up under it. You can't drive it. You can listen to it. You can listen to it run as it goes up.
Just take our word for it. Right.
Yeah, just take our word for it.
Right.
And we've all been involved in those deals before.
It happened. We on the sales side, our guys are disclose. Not just the beauty of it, it's your favorite color, right? But hey, just by the way, this is a resto mod. Here's little things different than a stock one. They all go up on the lift. When they come in on consignment, I have people ring me cars on consignment they bought 3-4 years ago. They've never been under them, which shocks me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Right? And then and it's beautiful on the top side. We have an example of a 50s Chev. It's gorgeous on the outside, but it's just the quality of work that went into the floor pans and the restorations was subpar compared to the top side.
Right.
That's a really hard conversation to have with somebody. So
you're listening.
Yeah, exactly.
we'll do the same thing when we do consignments. We'll make sure that we go through that car And the owner of that car, before it's consigned, has to make sure they take care of the different items that we see on that car before we ever put it on the floor as consigned.
I sold that 997.2 that I had up there with you guys, and we went in and had it certified, great.
Yeah.
Before y'all would even really put it up for sale.
Yeah, it's important.
Mike, I think we have the same theme here going is that, we just want people to be happy with the car. We don't want to just make a sale for making sake of making a sale.
No.
Because when they're happy, they don't go back and say, I regret this decision. Make sure they allow them the space to make the decision. And, you want them to be happy. You don't want to just sell a car to be, let's sell a car.
It's not about the commission check. It's finding the next, would you say, caretaker?
Yeah. It's matching a car with a good owner.
Well, a couple of my guys, like you asked the first question, you owning it or you keeping it? Right. I hear our guys say all the time, how are you going to use it? Right? Because some of these first guys, man, I want a Corvette. Right. How are you going to use it?
Right.
Right? Because that could differ.
You have to pre-qualify. Yes.
Yeah. This Camaro is fantastic. All right, it's got a twin-turbo big block LS in it. What are you going to do with it? I'm just going to go to Cars and Coffee. Well, how about just this big block 450?
Right, exactly.
Right. Well, guys, one thing I'll add to that, getting back to the women, do all your homework and make sure you're not buying a piece of junk.
Right.
Because the first thing she will throw up to you is, oh, my God, now we got to put a transmission in that thing. How much is that going to cost?
Yeah.
So be careful. Be careful. Do just like when you're buying a house or anything else. You're gonna do your due diligence and make sure you're getting a good piece, because it might be something all different in the world.
I don't know how much it happens with you guys. Happens with us a lot. Like we'll have a really nice straight little car, but like buying a house, that right, we're gonna redo the kitchen in that and upgrade the master bath. Right. Like I'll have guys come in, looking in El Camino. It's just a little 6-cylinder. I call them grandpa cars, right? But it's super straight. Now, the owner would cringe that this guy's going to LS swap it, and put a 4-link and make it a complete resto mod. But there's, know what you're getting into.
Right.
That's a big part of your homework. Yeah. Like this guy knows that drivetrain's going away, and he's looking at some serious coin to make that thing drive like a motor car.
Yeah. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your vast knowledge and your great opinions. And I think this thing will grow as this industry grows. Of course, we had Spencer Gates on here the other day saying there are 41 million collector cars in America.
Right.
That there's only 340 million people.
Yeah. Right.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And I that number just blew me away, blew me out of my chair.
It can be intimidating, can't it? Yeah.
Hard to fathom.
But guys, thank you so much for coming and joining us, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please share the link with anyone you know that has any interest in cars, and but ask them to like and subscribe, and also go down and in the comments give us some ideas. We want to get better and better at this. Anything we do. We want to get better and better at it. So please just give us your thoughts on things we can do. I had a guy at our Lake Norman Cars Conference. He said, "You touch your face too much." I said, "I don't know why I do that." I said, "But I appreciate you pointing."
I had an itch on my nose at times. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I appreciate you pointing it out. And just like and subscribe if you would, and we really want to be here for you going down the road, and we ask you to tune in. And thanks again, guys. Y'all have a great week, and hope to see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya.